Next question I have is the permitting process. We get a lot of people that when they're filling out that real estate condition report, and one of the questions is, have we done anything that the tax assessor needs to know about or that we should have had permitted? And they said, well, all we did was finish off the basement. We didn't do anything else. But we didn't get a permit. Were they supposed to get a permit for that interior finish?
So for Oneida County, you can basically gut the whole thing without a permit. As
Perfect.
long as you are keeping in mind, hey, I've got a 3-bedroom septic system out there.
Right.
As long as you're not creating 7 more bedrooms in your basement,
Yeah.
you know, that's where the problem comes in. So coming in and finishing all that stuff off, it doesn't require a permit. Once you start doing anything structural, so blowing out the exterior walls,
Adding to your footprint,
creating, you know, like I'm gonna create a whole big wall of windows that wasn't there before. Now you're doing some structural alterations.
Okay.
Anything over $2,500, which you and I know.
Everything is.
Yeah. So it requires, that's what it requires, but it's structural. It's once you get into the structure.
Okay, so if you have a 2-bedroom, 2-bath house and they have a plumbed in basement toilet that's plumbed in but it's not finished, and they finish off that basement and actually put another bathroom down there, should that have been permitted? Probably
So
not, as long as
from the
it's
county,
there.
from the county, no.
Perfect.
Each township hires their own what's called uniform dwelling code inspector.
Okay.
Those are the people that would do your interior plumbing, your interior electrical, your interior those things. I'm not gonna speak for that guy, cause I mean, he may want a permit. We size septic systems based on the number of bedrooms,
Okay,
not the number of bathrooms.
awesome. So if they have, yes, I like that.
Yep.
Don't add 7 additional bedrooms into theirs.
There's plenty of them out there.
Oh, here's a good one. We were talking about mitigation. What is impervious surface and how is it calculated? Here's a mouthful.
So impervious surfaces are for lakefront property. That's what we're looking at. You're going to take basically anything that you have on the ground. So if you have a shed, you have, you know, walkways, driveways, all of those things. We actually have a piece of paper that says, hey, and it's basically a calculator. So before I do any construction, this is what I've got.
Okay.
Yeah, my house is this big, my garage is this big. This is the square footage of those things that I have on there. Then you're gonna go to this next column and it's gonna say, hey, I'm gonna add on a 1,000 square foot garage. Now we're gonna add that to what you had before, and then we're gonna divide it by the size of your lot. You can use your entire lot square footage, but you're only gonna count the square footage of the impervious surfaces within 300 feet. Sounds complicated. It's spelled out pretty clearly within that impervious surface, for lack of a better word, calculator paper. I mean, it's a page.
Call her.
Yeah, I'm in. That's fine.
So, I know like driveways count, like
Yes.
blacktop driveway. So this is a question that I've gotten.
They
If
all
they have,
count.
they all count. Okay, so that's the question I've got.
The DNR doesn't make any sort of there's no differentiation.
So if they,
for
I've
that.
had people say, well, I got the brick pavers
I
and their
know.
water can soak
Yeah,
through the
the
pavers,
impervious
so it
surface.
doesn't count.
Yeah, do you know how there's so much maintenance to those that they don't even really count because nobody really maintains them the way they're supposed to. You're supposed to blow them and, you know, and keep this special sand and all those sort of things. So most people don't maintain them that way. Basically the DNR treats them all the same. You got a gravel driveway, you got an asphalt driveway.
Well, I've seen that around fire pits too.
Yeah.
You build up this beautiful fire pit 20 feet off the shoreline. Now you've just messed that all up.
But there's only X% of your lot that you can have
So
stuff
it's
on,
15%.
basically.
So it starts out at 15%. Once you get over 15%, then you have to do something to offset it. That's when we start talking about rain gardens and those
Mitigation.
something to offset. You're allowed to have what you have. So if you have an existing piece of property and you've got 24% of your property covered, you're allowed to have that. You're allowed to maintain that 24%. Once you do something additional, you're gonna have to offset. Like if you go up by 2%, you're gonna have to offset 2%, not 15 plus 24 plus, you know what I mean? You don't have to do all of that.
So what is a rain garden? I'm not sure if I know what that is.
So I don't know that I'm the best person to tell you what that is. So it depends on the
assuming
soils.
people are doing
Right. There's not a lot. I mean, a lot of landscapers draw plans. I get plans from landscapers all the time. it depends on the soil type, it depends on the slope, I mean, there's, like, it's a calculation, it's a thing. I prefer to go like a little bit easier routes, like, is most of your property facing away from the water? Are you sloped? How are you sloped? Looking at there's different things. Again, passive. There's things already in place on your property. Most people have gutters.
Yep.
Once you put gutters on and you're offsetting that and you're putting that, hey, this is gonna go to this. We're not putting it in the lake.
No.
We're putting it in this little French drain off the
Yes!
front house. We're gonna put it there, so we're not getting to those things, and we're gonna keep it on our property. How are we gonna maintain it? How are we gonna keep it off the lake? And how are we gonna keep it on our property? So there's different things that you can do. Drainage swales, making sure that when we're vegetating things that we're not putting it to the neighbors. We're not putting it into the lake. And how can we offset that? So while it seems like, oh my gosh, I get people that come in and they're like, forget it, I'm not doing this, I don't want to do it, it's too much. Take a deep breath, we can walk you through it, we can break it down, and it 9 times out of 10, it ends up being something that they're like, oh my gosh, yeah, this is easy, this is great, no, perfect, I wanted to do that anyway.